This is the first time that the meeting announced that it was being recorded.
Yeah, I wonder what's wrong.
No, actually, it gave me the option, and I don't know if other people have the same option to continue or to leave. It said this meeting is recorded, which
Interesting.
anyway,
Yeah, hopefully everything's okay.
I think everything's okay.
Very good.
Beautiful day. Ah, yes.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, I can't see me on their other screen. Is that?
I can see you.
Oh, wait, hold on. Oh, there we go. Okay. I'm trying a different thing out tonight. New setup. And I don't think I like it.
No. You must be on the computer. Melissa, are you on the computer all day?
Yep. 8 to 5.
Half hour for dinner.
Huh?
Half hour for dinner and then.
Well, no, actually, I left the house at 4:45 to go up here so that Chris and my two meetings wouldn't clash tonight. So
Oh my goodness.
he has a standing date with some of the people he hangs around with regularly. So I vacate. Yeah, it's they weren't doing it initially with COVID, but they started to, and it's been good. It's been good for them, all of them. It's been good for them. So it's the only socialness he gets other than work.
A lot.
Yeah, although he goes to work every day. He's been going to work for the duration. So
And that may start happening for you at some point.
There's sometime after August 1st. Depending on your role with student involvement. So my role with student involvement is very small. So although I will be on campus this weekend for graduation. They are having in-person graduation. Yeah.
Enjoy it.
Yeah, we haven't, I mean, we haven't had one this will be, would be year 2 technically.
That's right.
Yeah, we didn't have one last year.
It's nice to see something looking more normal.
It is. Yeah. Joey, is Rita here?
I was just gonna let you know, Rita will be joining us at 6:20. She had a family commitment. So she asked for a bit of a change in the agenda.
Okay.
Okay, so if you see the agenda, that athletic club is at 6:35.
Yeah.
Could we change that to 6:15?
Yeah.
And then take the open.
Excuse me. Sorry. As long as Mark Olszewski's here at 6:15.
Okay.
He's planning to attend tonight, so
Yeah.
on behalf of this athletic club. So I advised him to try to come a little early. I can send him an email right now and ask him to be here for 6:15.
Okay,
if you'd like.
that'd be great.
Okay.
We should call ourselves to order before we continue to talk about
That's
stuff.
right. That's right.
So let's call ourselves to order.
We're in
Now let's
order.
review the agenda. Sorry, Becky. That was my fault. Go ahead.
Okay, and the open meeting law complaint review moved to 6:25.
Okay.
And the solar presentation follow-up moved to 6:35.
35, okay. All right, that makes sense.
Is that okay?
Okay. And that was the only changes.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Shall we open it up to, Linda, go ahead.
Can I just have a moment to send this email? Just.
Oh, yes,
because
please.
I can't type two things at one time.
I understand.
And
Go ahead.
Melissa, do you want to ask who iPhone is just because?
Oh, yes.
it both records?
Can the person who's on the iPhone, thank you. Becky, did you make my laptop the co-host so I can,
I did. Yeah, I did.
can the person on the
Hi.
laptop?
Oh, I think
ahead.
you're asking, yeah, Melissa?
Yes.
Hi, I think you're asking me to speak. This is my grandson's iPhone. My name is,
Hi, Wesley. Okay.
Okay,
I inherited it. My name is Mary Lou Conca. I'm on 105 Wendell Road.
okay.
Happy to be here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hmm.
And we
Okay.
could,
All right, Mary Lou, I'm gonna label your iPhone so others know who that is. And
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I have
Oh,
no
my God.
idea how to do it, I'm afraid.
I don't know that you can simply on an iPhone. I'm not familiar with the technology, cell phone technology for Zoom meetings. I'm always in front of the computer, so, but I
Thank
appreciate you letting us know.
Right.
Okay, Linda, have you sent the email?
I have, yes, thank you.
Thank you for the reminder, Becky. All right, shall we open it up to public comment? Does anyone have public comment on items that aren't listed in the agenda? I see Kara's hand and Jeff. Go ahead, Kara.
Hi, my name's Cara. I'm a Shutesbury resident. I'm to oppose the AMP and Cowell proposed industrial solar project that will damage forests and wildlife of Shutesbury.
Your
and I
connection
urge
is not very
the
clear.
select board to commit not to sign. Okay.
Okay,
Can you hear? Can you hear better with my camera off?
yeah.
A
And maybe
little
we
bit.
should, Melissa, maybe we should remind people that comments are no more than 3 minutes, just,
Yeah, thank you, April. Yes,
You're
we
welcome.
have a rule where comments are no more than 3 minutes,
okay,
2 to 3 minutes. Thank you.
thank you.
Thank
So
you.
we can hear you now.
Okay. I'll just start from the beginning. My name is Cara. I'm a Shutesbury resident, and I'm here to oppose the AMP and Cowell proposed industrial solar project that will damage the forests and wildlife of Shutesbury. And I urge the select board to commit not to sign anything proposed by AMP and Cowell until they have a clear proposal and a full environmental impact assessment has been conducted. I think that Shutesbury needs a plan to convert to solar energy, but we cannot rush into a proposal that we do not understand the full effects of. Thank you.
Thank you, Cara. Jeff, I see you. Remember, 2 to 3 minutes.
Oh, yeah. So for what it's worth, I'm not sure how closely the select board has been following the different budget items, but one item that's caught the attention of many of us is the continued loan payment amount on the trucks of $112,695, which is still in our budget even after the trucks have been paid off. It was in the budget last year, and now it's proposed to be in the budget again. This was a controversial item for the FinCom. The vote was 4-3. In my view, this serves no purpose now that the trucks are paid off. Putting it into stabilization accounts is contrary to the FinCom's guidance on how to fill those accounts. So I guess I would ask the select board to look into this and hopefully take a stance against this amount. Perhaps if you have the authority, pull it out of the budget. It would be a nice little tax refund to the taxpayers this year. It would have been a nice one last year too, but at least perhaps we could do it this year. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff. I see Mary Lou. Oh, go ahead, Linda.
There's some feedback going on. I'm not sure where it's coming from.
Okay, hold on. Let's see.
I couldn't
Let me
hear
make sure I didn't turn on my speaker or something here on my laptop. Let me give 1 second. Come on.
Could you ask everybody to mute?
Yes, please mute. Do you still hear it, Linda? No? Okay. April, unmute and see if make sure it's not you.
I don't hear anything. It's,
I don't. Becky? No?
Unmuted.
Okay. Huh. All right, if it comes back, we'll do the same exercise and see if we can figure it out. Mary Lou. Remember, 2 to 3 minutes for public comment.
Okay.
And then we're gonna move on.
Thank you. So I've lived in Shutesbury for about 16 years. I was opposed to the first destruction of our forest, given that it was over an ancient burial ground. And I'm not happy with this second idea, this second proposal. I would strongly urge the Select Board, Planning Board, Conservation Commission as well, whatever parties need to be involved, to get an environmental impact study. The first one on Wheelock over there at Pratt Corner, the town was supposed to get, I think it was $50,000 or something like that every year. I don't think that's happened. We are also supposed to have received some kind of yearly report, and that never happened. So I strongly urge that, we just do it right this time and that we get this. It's really important to get an environmental impact study done to protect our groundwater. Like, this town is dependent on well water, and these projects are going to interrupt that.
Mary Lou, you have 1 more minute.
Thank you, April.
You're welcome.
I just want to, so summarize it. At previous Way meetings, I was there raising my hand asking, who's going to be responsible when we start seeing children coming up with unusual diseases or cancers because their water has been poisoned by construction or whatever it is they do to the ground, the pesticide spray. At one point, they were going to have Roundup. Thank you. I'll stop.
No, yeah, I know. I'm
Thank
sorry.
you.
We
That's
have
okay.
to
No,
stick to our budget.
Yep.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, April. And thank you, Mary Lou, for your comments. Okay, moving on to police officer in charge Burgess updates. You can unmute yourself, Kristen. And so we've asked you to come to talk to the select board to check in and see how things are going now that you've been there for a few weeks and got a handle on things. Can you give us some updates? How are things going?
So, hi everyone. First, I want to say that I believe I have a very good handle on things. That being said, there's a lot of handles to hold on to right now. So I have been dealing with the regular police business. I have that is quite a lot since I took over. I am also working with the reform bill and the mandates that are coming down from the state, from the Commonwealth, regarding the reform bill and the post system that is set into place. They have mandated that we rewrite or add or put in 8 policies. They're all great policies. They speak against police brutality. They speak against chokeholds. They speak against or they speak to use of force and what is allowed. They're mandating that we have officers being mandated to speak up and speak out, and if officers are not utilizing their use of force properly. So there's a lot of great policies that are coming from this. But there are 8 different policies that need to either be added to, completely rewritten from start to finish, or I think we do have a couple we were right on track with. So that's positive as well. But that's a lot, and I'm working diligently to make sure I get that to you for approval. It is mandated by the state, but I want to make sure that we are all on the same page with that. So I have that going on, trying to get the officers some good trainings that are happening right now. We have fair and impartial trainings that have been happening, bias trainings that have been happening, racism immersion trainings that are happening. We have our mandated first aid, first responder, CPR practical that is mandated. We have to have that finished by June 30th. And I years ago made a contact with someone who is retired from the Granby Police Department, who is MPTC certified to teach it. And she's going to take on our entire department to do that on June 5th. So I think it's going well in a lot of areas. Some areas I've hit a few road bumps, but it's doable and workable. My days are full. I've been working about 10 to 12-hour days to make sure everything gets accomplished. It's important to administratively keep everything in line, but I also don't want to lose touch with the residents out there. So I am making sure that I'm still getting out there and attending to any concerns, needs, or otherwise. Some residents have just reached out and said, come sit and have coffee with me, which I've enjoyed quite a bit. So it's just a lot. It's good, but it's a lot. And there have been some things that I've been working on to get us in compliance.
That is terrific.
April, you look like you have a question.
Is there more that we want to say about this? Is this where we're at right now?
Well, I had one question about scheduling. How is it working with the officers that you have?
Okay, so the officers that I have, once we get everyone fully trained, we are going to be in a really great space with that. I've been struggling just a little bit, but that's just because we're working on getting Taylor trained. And once we have Taylor trained and out there visible to all of you, then the schedule should be 7 a.m. to 11 p.m. coverage 7 days a week, which is exactly ideal, and it's what we need. There's been a couple of times where we've had a couple of really important, very serious calls. Because we've been here, we've been able to attend to them. And that's super important.
Okay, and you said something about road bumps. What road bumps are you hitting?
So there's a few things I'll speak to. The first being, as I said, I'm getting things into compliance. There were items that were very important that are mandated by the federal government that hadn't been done. So I'm getting that all caught up. Those items are reporting use of force. So I'm making sure that we are in compliance and we have reported everything we need. There are UCRs, and those are basically also our reporting of any events in town, uniform citation reporting. Those have to be done. They want them to be done monthly, but at the very least, the end date is March, the end of March. So I'm trying to catch up on all of those items. And that's been that started out as a little bit of a challenge, but we're getting there slow and sure. Now that I have been in touch with the federal government, telling them, hi, we're attending to what needs to be done. They're very happy. They take your time, get where you need to get. But so that was a little bit of a challenge. And the other challenge that I have run into speaks to my title.
How so?
To go further into that?
Yeah. How so? What kind of your
Okay.
title? You
So
mean officer in charge?
so being the officer in charge, and so I'll explain to you. In the policing field, we have a chain of command in the policing field, as most businesses do, as most places do, as most agencies do. There's a chain of command. And typically the top chain of command is what they would consider the chief. And then it just sort of floats down from there with different titles. It could be OIC, it could be sergeant, etc. In our field, an officer in charge is viewed by all the other agencies. And I'm not speaking to just police agencies, but agencies that we are involved with. CGIS, which is our portal for looking up license plates and operators of vehicles, and how we get to our citations for things, or when we're on motor vehicle stops, we look for and so all kinds of agencies. And the way that an officer in charge is viewed is it's a very, very temporary position. So an officer in charge is typically a weekend position if you're covering with the chief away, or you just happen to be in charge, or it's a couple weeks of a vacation. And so we're going into more of a lengthy time here. And some of the roadblocks I get are, okay, just have the chief sign it and sign the paper, whatever that paper is. And when I explain to them that I'm the officer in charge and I have the clearance to take care of these things, then there's sort of a long drawn out explanation as to why the chief, when they say, well, when will the chief be back? And then there's this long explanation instead of me just, getting right to it and getting things done. And then other police agencies also view it as that too. Other police officers, they look to the chain of command to follow, and it's something that's really important. It's doable. It's just a little bit of a roadblock for me. I have to take a lot of detours sometimes to get done what needs to get done. For instance, I was speaking to someone on the phone regarding getting Marcus in for a training. The training was for evidence room officer. And because he is in charge of our evidence room, which is a really very important role, he has to keep track of everything we have in there. He has to make sure no one else has entry to it, so nothing can be tampered with. When I was trying to get him into that training, they said, we'll just have the chief's signature. Okay, so just send it to the email. And when my name was on the bottom of the email in response, they were kind of confused. So it worked out. We got him to that training. It's very good for him. He enjoyed the training. So that sort of thing is where it's a little bit challenging for me. And one of the biggest things is it's really important for everyone who is a head of a department in policing right now to be able to weigh in on behalf of the department, which represents the town that we're in different capacities as far as leadership meetings. There is the Massachusetts Chiefs Association, the Western Mass Chiefs Association, and the Franklin County Chiefs Association, all which I have Zoom meetings once a month with. It is difficult to, not impossible, it just becomes a little bit more difficult to weigh in as an officer in charge versus an interim or an acting chief. And right now with the reform bill and all of the things that are coming down with the reform bill, it does make it challenging without that title as well. All the language that is in our new policies speaks to chief responsibilities as well.
So Melissa, this sounds like something that we need to find a way to address or to look at. And I would this also include engaging the personnel board in this as well?
It might, definitely, I think it's a good idea. Becky, do you have thoughts on bringing the personnel board into this discussion? Or what Kristen just presented as her challenges? Or additional information?
I got called out of the room by the treasurer. I think this is an issue I've been working on. And just trying to get the policing understanding, talking to other officers. And I think at this point, you know, we're still in an interim phase. And the question I've been having, and I feel like this should go offline until we can talk with some other people. I'm
okay.
I don't know. It seems like my feeling is that potentially we could take it one step at a time, starting with a promotion to sergeant, and then step by step, because we are looking at the department as a whole. I think we need to move cautiously over the next next couple of months. But I think it's very important to show total support for Kristen, and I'm just not clear. We don't have a job description for an acting chief. So if we were to go that route, that would take definitely bring in the personnel board. But I think the step that could be taken most immediately would be a promotion to sergeant.
Okay. So this sounds like this is something we're not ready to act on it, that there's more information to gather. And maybe have this on another agenda.
Maybe on the next one, we'll have just an update to see if we've got more information.
Sounds
Kristen?
good.
Okay.
Sure. I mean, I'm happy to gather information for you regarding exactly the areas that create a little bit of difficulty. I just want to be clear. I certainly, was very happy to pick up this department and keep it going. And I've really been digging in and doing everything I need to do and a little bit more, all the while trying to keep the morale up with the officers. And that's really, really important to me. In fact, I'm planning an outing for all of us to attend so that we could, do some team building. I think it's really important. If you see the officers out there, can you just give them a wave and a smile, everybody? They're working really hard and they want to make sure that they are doing, and we all do, we want to make sure that we are doing everything we can to make you feel like we are doing a good job and you're feeling safe and you're feeling happy and you're feeling like the community is taken care of.
Well, I've had, just good response, just anecdotally from people I run into, that people are really very pleased with the work that you're doing.
Well,
that's.
I really enjoy hearing that, April. Thank you. It's good. I'm really trying to do my absolute best. And as I said, I have a very good handle on what's going on from the experiences that I've had in general, in life in general, my life experiences I can bring to this. And also I've always been very inquisitive in the other department I worked in as to what was happening. So everything is doable. It's just a matter of prioritizing and getting done what needs to get done. We're sort of under time constraint right now to June 30th with a lot of compliance issues through the Commonwealth itself and the reform bill. And I say that, and it almost sounds begrudgingly, but I want to emphasize these are all wonderful things that are happening in policing in the Commonwealth, and the attention to the need for accountability is really exciting that it's happening. So they're all great things. It's just a lot right now that's happening.
It does sound like you certainly have your plate full.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
today I finished, and tomorrow I will be in a training. It is a train the trainer for fair and impartial policing against bias. And I will be able to train officers in my department against against bias, and to have them understanding implicit bias and fair and impartial policing. It is a very in-depth training, and it's very exciting at the same time. So I get to bring that back.
Well, enjoy. And thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your update, Kristen. We appreciate it.
Well, thanks for having me, and I really appreciate it. You guys have been super supportive. I felt nothing but support from the community so far. So I get lots of emails, and I encourage them to keep coming. If someone has questions, bring it. I am completely transparent. I will, as much as I can be, transparent with everybody. And we are getting out the logs and making sure that those are out there for everyone to see. If you have a question about the logs, anybody that's listening, just give me a call or send me an email, and we can talk about it.
Great.
Thank you so much, Kristen.
Thank
We
you.
appreciate it.
Enjoy the training. Bye-bye.
Thank
Okay. Shall we move on to the next item, which is reviewing Joe Comerford's email to us about ending the emergency order. And she wanted to gather information. And Becky had a good suggestion, actually, to start with. What are our concerns about opening town hall? Becky, I think you've probably given some thought, being in town hall, what those might be, and may have talked to others. Can you give us some thoughts on that? If you've.
Sure.
Yep.
I think the trickiest part about reopening is where and if there will be any requirements about masks. When we do, for the most part, almost everyone in town hall is vaccinated, but we do have a couple who are not. So when you have an environment like that, including a number of elderly people in the mix, what is, how do we go all the way to no mask requirement for anybody and still have people that aren't vaccinated? It's a concern that people in town hall have. While at the same time, everybody wants to go without a mask, we will also be having the public come into town hall. And from my understanding, we're not going to be able to, I don't believe we're going to be able to require masks in the building. And that's a concern again. If there are people that are unvaccinated that are coming into town hall, it would mean that people could themselves mask to protect themselves, but that's the biggest question is where's the line going to be drawn about masks? And we're going to have our first engagement with that at annual town meeting, where we've learned from the Board of Health we cannot require masks. We can ask if you aren't vaccinated and you're not wearing a mask to please make sure you social distance or go in a specific area that isn't as heavily populated, but it's it's a problem. I'm sorry, I'm gonna need some water.
Yeah.
April, while Becky's getting some water, is there anything that you might have concerns about? Masking was one of the ones I had.
Yeah,
But-
that is my main concern, just, interaction with the public in general. And, we're not done with the pandemic. It's certainly better, but we don't want to backslide. I did see in the paper today, and I don't know if this is confirmed, that Governor Baker is going to continue to allow for Zoom meetings. So we're not going to have to meet in person at this point, because I think it would be too soon for that.
Well, in our setups too doesn't allow for a great number of people to social distance in town hall,
Right.
unless we started having them outside for the summer, in the back, but maybe that's a later conversation.
Right.
But that is one of the key issues, because we do have some committees that haven't met during the pandemic, like the building committee. They're a smaller committee usually, but whenever you have a public meeting, you also have to provide space for the public to attend the meeting.
Right.
And so I think they're eager to start meeting at town hall again. We do have the two larger rooms downstairs. The Council on Aging room has been equipped with an air exchanger that is very good, but it's a little bit noisy.
Yes.
So the trick is how to balance all those different issues. But I think it's exciting that we will be able to open soon. I think we'll just have to do it in a hybrid fashion. In the beginning, some meetings will remain on Zoom while others will attempt to do in person, and just start off slowly and see how it goes. But I think it's important to start moving in that direction now that the governor is calling for those changes.
Yeah.
In Joe's email that she sent us, there was a list, there was a 3-page list of items here. She was picking our brains as to what might be of concern off of this list. I don't want to read the entire list. It's pretty lengthy.
Yes.
Well, a lot of them don't apply to us.
Yeah, I just happened to see a whole section that did not.
Yeah.
Yeah, so most of them don't apply. They cover the whole economy, and so it's not just our issues. But I think the other area that the town clerk has been struggling with as of June 15th, the rules are going to change on voting dramatically. I mean, last year we had the vote by mail ballots are going to be, whether we can still vote by mail and how that's going to be handled is, it's all changing. Luckily, it's not going to officially change till either the 15th of June or the end of the month, but there have been enough changes that Grace has had to rewrite the instructions for the vote by mail and some other things for her poll workers. But the exciting part is this year we will have an indoor election. It'll look much more like normal. And so people will come into town hall in that well-ventilated space. And use the box. I think the vote by mail has, people have to request a ballot now.
Yeah.
They weren't mailed out to everyone. I think that's been the surprise. A lot of people expected to get a ballot and are calling up wondering where their ballots are. So we're already transitioning. But
Yes, it's going back to the absentee ballot, requests.
Yeah.
Different than everybody voting by mail for the majority of people like last year. So I thought, is Grace on the call?
And I don't see her.
I don't see her.
But that was one of her big concerns as far as the workers in town hall. And I think we have some things set in place. We don't have a lot of plexiglass, but at this point, I don't believe we need it. I know the library has a lot of plexiglass and they'll have more visitors probably than the town hall will. But I think it's the air exchanging, keeping windows open upstairs, and just being mindful of other people and
Yep.
making sure that that we mask appropriately. But I know as soon as we can, people would like to stop wearing their masks in the building.
Absolutely.
And that's what will be pushed for in the coming weeks
By employees.
by employees.
Yeah.
Because right now, all the employers can go without a mask in their own offices. Like I'm in my own office now, which is a great benefit. But I think even just walking around the building without a mask is what people would really like to be able to do. And we just have to solve that question about whether people coming into town hall would or should or could be required to wear a mask or not if not vaccinated.
So could there be a sort of another interim where until the public is allowed into town hall, that the vaccinated staff of the town hall don't have to wear masks, when working? I mean, would that be possible?
Well, the only time they have to wear a mask now is in the hallways.
Right, but even if that could be removed, if you could have no masks in the hallways.
I think the comfort level would be higher if everyone in town hall was vaccinated.
Right.
I think that's one drawback, and maybe it shouldn't be. And I can take that question to the Board of Health, and probably advise we can go without masks, but we need to run it by them.
Yeah.
And I can do that this week before the next meeting.
Well, it's like Melissa, we've been talking about how much we appreciate what the employees of this community have had to do this last year, and how well they've risen to the occasion. And it's just, maybe town meeting maybe we could have a standing ovation for town employees.
I think we should at least try that. I think we should. Yes, I agree, April. And all of this is so hard. I know that there's my place of work is requiring masks inside for now and through the summer, but outside they're not. If you're vaccinated, if you aren't vaccinated, masks are required. I don't know if the town can do anything of a similar nature. We'd have to talk about that.
Right.
So,
like, people have to demonstrate that they've been vaccinated.
Well, then there's
that's a sticky point.
there's
Yeah.
that, right.
Absolutely.
And then we're under mandated vaccine. So where I work, so there isn't the option of not being vaccinated. So it's things to think about. Yeah.
It's fluid. I mean, I was surprised by, it seems like there's some hesitancy from the governor to just open everything all at once. I mean, I think that there's a lot more caution involved. And I think keeping Zoom meetings, especially for the select board where there's often a lot of people and we'd be stuck in that little room downstairs, it wouldn't be safe. But then again,
I agree there. Yep. And any meetings where I think that we would be expecting a large group of people that would not be able to accommodate in that room. We do think of Zoom, and then, you know, if it's in person, maybe if the weather is okay, we do something outside at some point down the road. But,
Mhm.
you know, again, it's all fluid.
It's fluid. Yep.
I did see Mark Oshevsky.
I do see him.
Here.
Yes.
Yes, I'm here.
Hi, Mark. Thank you.
Hi,
for
how are you?
Good. How are you?
Thank you.
Was
for
there anything
coming
else
up
we
early.
needed to talk about in that realm? Becky, did you want help filling out the thing for Joe?
Sure. I'll give it a first run and then send it around to you guys.
Okay.
Or we can just share our ideas with you. We can just, you know, I can email which ones I think are concerned. April can do the same thing. That way you don't have to take a stab at it. You can just use what we give you.
Sounds great.
Good
Thank you.
idea, Melissa. Really, thank you.
You're welcome. All right, let's move on to the athletic club update. ABCC update. Linda, did you want to give us a little synopsis of this? You do this so well because you're right in the weeds of all of this.
Yeah.
Yes, sure. Well, the first thing is that, well, I sent around to everybody the ABCC advisory regarding the end of COVID-related restrictions.
Yeah.
So you've all got that, and the officers with the SAC have it as well. Tomorrow morning, I'm going to attend an ABCC video conference for local licensing authorities, you know, regarding, just to give us, they're going to be giving us an update, you know, about all of this. So I'll be more informed. In the meantime, and Mark will speak more about this, the SAC is preparing to reopen. And so the two pieces of the two documents that were remaining pending, you know, because they were closed, they weren't submitted during the usual licensing renewal towards the end of 2020. So I sent you all an email with the attachments indicating that their liquor liability, excuse me, insurance is in place.
Yep.
And that today we received the notice of assignment that comes from the Workers' Compensation Rating and Inspection Bureau, that the worker compensation insurance coverage is effective midnight 5/26.
Okay.
So there's my report.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
Mark, you can unmute yourself if you like.
Okay. So yeah, thanks, Linda, for really helping us out with this. I know it was kind of unorganized this year, and I apologize for that. But we do plan on opening on June 4th for the bar. And as you know, right now we are doing music on Friday nights. No alcohol is being served. That the bar is not open. The only thing that's open is the restroom. But just to make sure that we have everything ordered, first night of the bar being open, we would like to open it up June 4th, which is a Friday.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. And I see that you have your the insurance paper was emailed to us. Thank you, Linda. And the other document as well I see here. So what may I ask what kind of protocols you'll have in place for the 4th?
Well, as of the 29th, there's not going to be any more masks outside or anything. So the pavilion will all be open.
Okay.
All of our music as right now on the weekends is going to be outside, and we are aware that the music has to stop at 10 p.m.
Yeah.
And talking to the Board of Health prior to this, basically we did not have to have servers for our alcohol. People could come up to the bar. They were fine with that to get their drinks. And at that time, take them outside. But now since as of the 29th, the regulations have changed, people can still sit inside under the capacity. Now the capacity for at that time was 50%. Now the capacity for the bar area is 70. So even at 50%, 35, hardly do we ever get 35 people in here at one time, except for Friday when we have a live band in here. So, and that's right now, that's not going to happen. We're not going to have any live music inside. Everything's going to be outside. And we don't plan to serve any food right now. As Linda, I'm still working with the Board of Health, Claudia, specifically on our food permit. And victualer's license, Linda, I'll have that. And per our emails today, I'll try to get that to you tomorrow. I'll fill in the rest of that information that was not in there when I spoke with you. But other than that, I think we're pretty much in line with what the Board of Health wants.
Okay.
Wow.
You've done a lot of work, and it's been a long year for you, I imagine.
Yeah.
Yes.
And the SAC survived. That's
Yeah,
wonderful.
you know what really saved us was when we did the Saturday takeout dinners. We did that, and that was a huge success. And so we're going to continue to do that once a month moving forward, just the Saturday takeout dinner. So that was great. Actually, we did probably at the last one we did, I think we did 150 meals. And that was huge for us.
That's wonderful.
Great.
So you will remain the only bar in town, I believe.
I believe so. We don't want any competition.
I don't think you're going to get any.
I have a quick question.
Yes, Linda.
Linda, Mark, would you say the bar capacity again?
In the bar area is 70. That's the capacity in here. I believe the back room, I would have to look, but I'm going to say it's 120.
That sounds right.
I believe that's what it is.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, so
yeah, was there, Linda, remind me, do we need to vote on anything? I know they submitted that we had nothing to vote on. Okay.
No, it was just to be sure that the 2 insurances were in place prior to reopening. That was the main piece for tonight. Yeah.
Okay.
And Linda, you still do you need anything from us? I mean, I know you got an email, but are you supposed to be getting the binding policy at some point?
Well, I have the certificate of insurance for the liquor liability and then the state document. And I believe that once In Charter has the paperwork done for the workers' comp, they'll send that as well.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure there is that. I just want to say for your common victualers license, the select board's next meeting is June 8th.
Okay.
So that, once you submit that and the forms and the fee, and then it can be on the agenda for the 8th.
Okay. Great.
Okay.
And
thank you.
Just one more. I'm sorry. One more part. So Linda, as far as the serving of the food, you need the victualer's license, and the Board of Health also needs the food permit, correct?
The common victualers is, that's the select board issues, but yes, you have to do whatever you need to do with the Board of Health.
Okay. Yep. Okay.
Yeah.
Because the victualer license, that's only been new to us for a year. Prior to that, we haven't.
We had it in the past, but then when it came up about you're doing the meals, the special meals, it does make sense to just have that in place.
Sure.
It's
okay.
$10, and we can make that. It runs to the end of the year. That's how it runs. So we can make that part of your annual renewal.
Okay.
Paperwork each year, so we,
sure.
It all gets done at once.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep. Thank you.
You're welcome.
thank you.
Thank you very much, Mark, for coming and sharing all that with us.
Oh, thanks. Hope to see you at the club sometime.
You will. Oh, and there's Rita.
Rita, hello.
Good to see you.
Hi, thanks.
Hope all is well.
So do you need anything else from me, or am I all set, or?
You are free to go unless Linda or Becky need you for anything, and they're shaking their heads, so you are free to go.
Okay, thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you.
Okay, now I'm just making sure we're staying on. We rearranged a couple of things. So we have the open meeting law complaint as our next item on the agenda.
Mhm.
I'm just popping this open. So the select board had received, give me 1 second, the computer is lagging a slight bit. Okay. Had received an open meeting law complaint regarding the executive session that we had back on April 30th.
Right.
So the complaint was that, I'm going off my memory because the computer's acting a little slow, is that we didn't open in an open meeting before immediately going into our executive session. So that is the complaint. I know we both have seen that, Rita and April, and we have drafted a response to the complainant. There we go. Becky, is there anything else that we need to discuss? I know we've all seen it, so we probably need to vote on sending it. Rita, do you have any concerns or comments?
I didn't see the letter. Did you send it, Becky? I'm sorry.
Just a little bit ago. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, there
I had
was
made
a,
some edits to it.
yeah.
Do you want me to just take a quick look at it?
If you'd like to, sure.
Okay. I just got to figure out how to find it.
Yeah, it should, well, I don't know. In mine, it was the last item I received, but
Okay.
It should be at the top.
Okay, I got it. Okay, I'm good with that.
you're good? Okay.
Yep.
All right. Do we want to discuss further, or would we like to, I know we have to take a vote to make sure this is the letter that we approve and send, so.
So should we just go over sort of what we did?
If you'd like to, sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I did take a look at the open meeting law, and my understanding is basically we did not start the meeting in open session and then go into executive session. So, and since we had met in person, we could have done it in Zoom and opened an open session, and you only have to be in, like, open the meeting, and then we would immediately anyway have gone into executive session. So lesson learned. There was no malintent.
Exactly.
It was an oversight on our part, and yes, lesson learned.
Lesson learned, absolutely. And I think, you know, it's unusual times when normally we would be meeting in person and we would have that happen,
Right.
and we didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah. And to be honest, we haven't had many executive sessions this year either.
No.
That might have been
Good,
my first,
right?
as a select board member. Yeah.
Yeah, it was, we've only had a couple. So, and in the Zoom, of course, you had the format. So it would have been a, but I think we've learned our lesson going forward. We will make sure we have our open session and go in too.
Yeah, and I think it just reinforces, again, I can't remember if it was Grace or you, Becky, who sent out the notice about the open meeting law trainings that are coming up, the webinars, and
Yep.
you know, that's really good. And I think we should remind people again, because I think I said this before, the open meeting law just continues to surprise me at times. So I think the webinars that, anyone who's on a town board, it's just a really good thing to do. And you can ask questions and just, review sort of the, what the open meeting law requires.
And you have a good point, Rita. Maybe Grace could email the board chairs and just remind them to have people check in with those webinars and maybe give the links out,
Yeah, just again, I know it came out and I don't recall if it came out just to the select board or if it went out to all the boards, but yeah, again, if it could go out to all the boards.
And sort of what we've been talking about is err on the side of caution.
Right.
That just makes, and in this particular case, this was an oversight on our part.
Yes.
And it won't happen again, or it might, but
And
probably won't.
And I think part of what led to it is rarely do we ever go into executive session directly. We always have an open meeting, and that's usually part of an open meeting, and we come in and go out, or we don't. So it was a kind of a unique storm of things at that moment. But we have learned our lesson.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. Are we ready to, do I hear a motion to approve and sign the letter?
So moved.
And I'll second.
Okay. All in favor?
Farrell, aye.
Stein, aye.
Makepeace O'Neill, aye.
Great.
So Becky, you'll have that for us to sign. We won't want to forget to do that.
Won't.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So going back to the agenda, I want to make sure that's, and next on the list was the solar presentation follow-up.
Yep.
From last Thursday. So Zara Delling came and did a wonderful presentation and with great questions and answers, and Paul did a fantastic job moderating the event. It was, I know I learned quite a bit of information. It was great that we had that.
Yeah.
It was well attended, which was fantastic.
Yep.
Any of your thoughts?
I thought she did a phenomenal job. I think she was just what the doctor ordered in a way,
Yeah.
highly knowledgeable from the area, knows, basically what small communities are about. And I don't know if this is the time for us to talk about it, but I would really love to find a way for us as a board to, when misinformation from something happens like after a meeting like that, or, that's been occurring, how we as a board can address it, because it adds to a level of confusion that, that somebody like Zara, her presentation, I thought was incredibly clear and unbiased. I was impressed.
I was, yeah. Rita, did you have any?
Yeah, the only thing I'd say is I wish we had done it sooner.
Yeah.
So that's all. And, there's a lot of stuff that gets in the way, especially this time of year, and the amount of things that we've had on our plate. So yes, I do think it cleared up a lot of misperceptions and just gave everybody kind of, more and important background information without taking a position about,
Right.
We don't have any proposals before us. So this was just a good way of getting information out there about what the Smarter program is, and then, what some resources are that people can tap into.
And to my knowledge, there's still nothing before the planning board either. There's no applications at all. Yeah.
Yeah.
So are there ways that we can, as a board, sort of review when misinformation is being sent or being sort of around in the community, that we can address that, through, I don't know, a letter on town announce, some way letting the community know, that this is being said, but in fact, this is the truth, some way to find a balance. because it's really important that we're all understanding this. It's complicated.
Yeah, I think it's just about being proactive rather than reactive. And, you know, when it starts, you can never catch up when you're being reactive all the time. So, you know, proactive, we knew that there was a lot of discussion out there.
Yeah.
We couldn't react quickly enough to, you know, it takes time to get things organized, but just, again, you know, a lesson learned is to try to be as proactive as early as possible.
Yep.
So I think that's the, you know, we had information about the DOER SMART program. Becky and I and Michael DiChiara and Deacon had a meeting and with DOER back, I think in March. So, you know, we've had information up on the, you know, on the town website. I think maybe if we just figure out a way, you know, for the select board to kind of keep that updated and
Yeah.
so. And then a session like this, which is open to the public, and I don't know if we, you know, need to do an update or another one at some point, but particularly for people, I guess the presentation will be up, right, Becky? The PowerPoint. Yeah, so I think it being up there and then having some way of, you know, people being able to submit questions or whatever that it just gets really time consuming if we have to answer every single.
Well, maybe a way to do it is we received a lot of emails for the solar as we were getting up, you know, going up to the presentation and certainly a little bit after. Maybe it's an idea that, you know, every now and then we would take some of the questions out of that and address them kind of here's an update on questions that we've received, you know, in the last couple of weeks or something like that.
Sure, we could do an FAQ, frequently asked questions, and then, yeah, sort of like what Paul did a little bit, so that it's not, because it just, you know, you could spend all your time trying to answer individual emails, but if we were able to synthesize the kinds of questions we were getting and then put an FAQ up, then I think that would help.
Yeah, and we can keep those updated as new questions come in. And so maybe that's where we start, and that way information won't be, or the questions won't get stale or sit there. And it will be a little proactive, although a little reactionary, because we have to meet before we can put something up.
Right, it takes time. Yeah. Yeah, and just to clarify, there is nothing before the select board at this point, nothing. You know, nothing from AMP that's formal proposal, and there's no formal applications before the planning board. And that's where we are. And we shall see. I mean, I think open dialogue, you know, trust, you know, reminding each other that we are neighbors, you know, we are all trying to work through this together.
So just in response to that, I mean, we do have an inquiry from AMP as sort of a follow-up to, I think it's a combination of the select board meeting that we had with the planning board and with Donna McNichol. And then some exchange that happened after the information session, and we have to make a decision about whether or not we want to meet with AMP as they were requesting.
Right. But there's nothing formal, you know, you're right, it's sort of this inquiry, but there's no contract ahead in front of us.
No, but that's what they were leading up to in their in the email that they sent. So
I think
I don't know how we want to handle that about whether or not we're going to meet with them. Did you see that email, April?
I'm not sure I did.
Yeah, it's, I think it was Andrew that sent it. Hold on. I'll look.
Yeah, let me check on that.
My computer's running slow at the moment. Andrew.
I'm not getting it under his name.
I think I want to say
Would
it
have
was
come under, I believe it would have come under his name, or maybe Becky forwarded it.
Oh, yes. Yes. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm looking at the wrong email. There.
Oh, there it is. Yep.
Yes.
It was from
Yes,
Becky.
yes, I did see that, absolutely. That was forwarded,
So that is a, that is a request that's in front of us,
right?
to have a meeting again. I mean, my feeling is that this is all premature. But I think, we need to respond to AMP before they go ahead and do any significant amount of legwork and thinking about an operations and maintenance agreement. We as a board need to make a decision. So I think we need to put it on a future agenda to talk about what we want to do, since it's not on tonight's agenda.
No.
Yeah,
it's
well,
not.
why don't we put it on the next meeting agenda?
Mhm.
Becky, can you make sure you're muted, Becky?
For June 8th.
June
Okay.
8th? Okay.
So
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll add that to June 8th. And
So is that's 2 weeks, or is that 1 week? 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
2 weeks, and that would just be us. This is not going to include any outside people.
That's
No, we have
us
to figure
responding
it
to
out.
AMP's inquiry, right?
Okay.
So an AMP's inquiry is basically, does the select board want to discuss further an operations and maintenance agreement?
And I think putting that on the next, yes, and you're correct. I guess I was seeing that that's not formal, but you're absolutely right, Rita, that this is something that we should put on our next agenda, just to be clear.
Yeah. And I just think, if they ask us something, we should, respond to them and not kind of keep them hanging.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll make sure that's on the 8th, and we'll discuss their inquiry and a response or whatever the next steps we deem appropriate, I guess.
Yeah.
In what they've proposed or inquired about. So, okay, Becky, make sure that's on the next agenda on the 8th. We do have a couple of hands raised. Do we want to take public comment for this part of the meeting?
Okay. Yeah, I'd be okay, but to keep them limited to 2 to 3 minutes. Yeah.
2 to 3 minutes again. Okay. Leslie, I saw yours first, and then iPhone is there. That might be Mary Lou. I'm not sure who that is, but go ahead, Leslie, first.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, beautiful. Way out in my garden. I wanted to make a comment about Zara's presentation, what I learned, and kind of a red flag for me was that routinely to clear land, these solar industrial projects generally use pesticides, herbicides, insecticides. And again, to the issue that Mary Lou raised earlier about people's wells, people's health, and then the routine spraying of these toxic substances.
You're breaking up.
Like kind of approach to making seems the opposite approach to putting in a pollinator meadow. Like first you can't poison the land and then expect the butterflies to want to drink there. And the other thing I wanted to mention about the presentation, so I was really grateful to have that be a public record. I'm totally opposed to any use of pesticides, insecticides, herbicides anywhere in town. But I know I can't control what my neighbors are doing, but I wanted to mention that. And also I know some people who tried to ask questions, and I wondered what Paul's process was for selecting questions, because certain people were denied access and there was no way to even write one's question in the chat so everybody could see it. And thank you very much for letting me speak.
Thank you, Leslie. The person who's listed as iPhone.
Yes.
Make sure you say your name.
That's me, Melissa, Mary Lou Conca. I got booted out for a second and I came back, and I guess each time I come in, you might have to do your thing on your side.
Yeah, that's fine.
So, okay, so Mary Lou Conca, and I have a question. I have a couple of questions. Firstly, may we as public people see AMP's email that you all were just talking about? I'm very curious. And could April explain what she means? April, you were using the term misinformation. I find that quite curious to learn, excuse me, specifically what it is you're referring to.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mary Lou. Okay. I see Jeff and Robert. Jeff?
Oh, hello. The Wheelock project right now has folks that are contracted out, landscaping services, plowing, things like that. The folks who run Wheelock are in Vero Beach, Florida, and they contract out all these services. And it sounds like operations and maintenance would just put Shutesbury in the being one of these local landscape contractors.
I can't hear Jeff.
Yeah, could everybody mute themselves who's not speaking? It's really, there's a lot of background noise.
Anyway, I don't really think substituting Shutesbury for one of these landscape contractors that goes in and plows and mows and does things like that is really a true municipal partnership. So I would urge the town to start thinking more in terms of profit sharing with AMP or power sharing with AMP. I mean, a true partnership rather than just hired hands to come in and police the place. I think the town can get a better deal than that. So that's my input as a private person, not a planning board member. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff. Robert?
Hello. While it's quite true that what you've been saying, that you have nothing formal in front of you, AMP doesn't seem to see it that way, considering that a few weeks ago they were already holding Zoom sessions with so-called abutters to projects that were not even presented to you or the planning board. So they seem to be a little bit ahead of you. And you might like to remind them that they have not really presented anything. The fact that you have now received this letter indicates, at least to me, that they want a signature sooner rather than later. And I think there's really no way to deny that. In the interest of transparency, I think you really do have to let people know that while no, there is nothing before you now, there may be something before you quite shortly because AMP is already acting on it. Thank you.
Thank you, Robert. Okay. All right. Do we want to take further public comment? And Mary Lou has come back to us again. Do we want to take further? No, move on. Is that what I'm getting? Okay. All right, we can move on. So the next topic, we now did those out of order. So we are on to opening town hall discussion, although correct, Becky, we're gonna talk about that now. I'm following the order correctly, or we've already done that, part of the Joe Comerford. You're muted.
I had a huge truck driving by.
I know,
so-
I had the backup thing behind me.
Yeah, I think it would be helpful if we just went back and got some input from Grace and her concerns.
Oh, I'm sorry.
the
Grace,
elections.
is she here? Grace, I don't see your camera, but I do see your name. Okay, Grace, we were talking earlier about some concerns about opening a town hall. Would you like to add some concerns that you might have as town clerk and to us and voting?
So I am honestly not really sure what to say in terms of opening town hall. I think a lot of us are in this position where there are so many unknowns, it's kind of hard to make a decision. I think that there is a desire and a need in town to open town hall. I think that there is a desire and a need amongst the community to still have remote participation as an option. I think that if we make the decision to meet both those needs, we need to have serious conversations about building a more permanent system for doing this. So in terms of transitioning to having meetings on Zoom and managing that, it's added a lot of work for me in terms of providing tech support for committee members and members of the public. And also in terms of providing people with the recordings, because we don't have a permanent video hosting solution right now. So that it's been complicated. The system we've been working for has very much been an emergency system. And going forward, we need to think about building a permanent, sustainable system. In terms of voting, since I'm on the select board meeting right now and I have all of your attention, here's my little voting promo. We are still going strong with VBM. That's vote by mail. Early voting is in-person early voting is going to be at Town Hall on Saturday and Sunday, June 5th and 6th from 12 to 4. So if you're worried about the mail and you don't want to, you can't make it to election day, come on down to Town Hall or come on up to Town Hall on Saturday and Sunday, June 5th and 6th. And yes, we will have in-person voting inside on election day at town meeting.
I'm curious, is the state giving us any guidance on how to, I can't remember, save the recordings of Zoom meetings? Is there any guidance on that?
So there aren't record retention guidelines to it. The governor's emergency order, and this was a conversation I had a few months ago with our town council, is what instituted the recording practice, because the governor's order said we had to make remote participation possible. And however we did that, we had to make a recording so that if, despite our best attempts, we were prevented from giving the public that access due to technical difficulties, we would have a backup recording to provide them. And then in terms of people requesting the recording or how long we have to keep the recording, what Donna told me was that we only need to retain the recordings until the minutes are in, because that's what they are. Now, I think a lot of people would prefer it if those were permanent digital records and if they were much more easily available, so you didn't have to request them to me. You didn't have to send me an email asking for it. If you could just go to get it. That is a lot of labor. And it's different labor from being a town clerk.
And it's also a higher expense. These videos are huge. They take up a lot of bandwidth and we have to save them in the cloud. And I think we're getting close where our fees for storage are going to increase again. We're currently paying $115 a month.
And can that be recouped through the CARES Act or?
It has been, but once the emergency is over,
Right.
you know, things will change. So like Grace said, we're going to need a more permanent infrastructure if we're going to continue to do this, but we'll also have to evaluate the manpower and the hours it takes to do it, and whether who has the time, and if there's not volunteers to do it, how's it going to happen?
Right.
Yeah, who does it rest with?
And we've always used minutes. I mean, that's worked for eons.
Yep.
Yep.
And it might be, we might just keep recordings of very special events, like different presentations, and not have the burden of every weekly finance, select board, planning board meeting being available on video. So that's part of the discussion we'll touch more on on the 8th of June, is how far can we go and how much will the legislature allow and the governor allow,
Right.
And require.
Right. Maybe there'll be some more guidance from them too.
Yep. Thank you, Grace.
I look forward to more guidance. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Grace. Was there anything else while we're on the topic of opening town hall that we wanted to discuss? Rita, we had talked about the masking was a concern for vaccinated and unvaccinated. That's really where the discussion was. And then that the Becky brought up that those in town hall are, when they're in their own offices, they are unmasking if they're by themselves. So those become a practice. So that kind of updates, that's the update. But did you have any concerns or anything, Rita, at this point?
No, the only thing I've read is people who've chosen or cannot get vaccinated that should wear masks. I mean, that's sort of what I've been reading, is that they should continue to wear masks.
Yeah.
I don't know how you enforce that without HIPAA violations.
Right. Unless you make a vaccination mandatory, the higher town hall and town, right? So, okay, so we shall move on. Solar presentation, we did the athletic club. I think we are now on to town administrator updates.
Great. So I think it's tomorrow, the 26th, is the day the roof bids are due in. The last couple of weeks, there's been a lot of coordination with bidders and the architect in managing all the distribution of the bids. And now tomorrow we'll find out how it all comes together. I've had over 20 inquiries, requests for the bid packages. And that's not to mention using the Combi system, where I sent out 184 bids, and then the addendum to various contractors around the state. And it was hard. I was happy to know that our architects, their primary roofers that they work with were all on that list. So they did double check that way to make sure that we were getting the bid out. Now the most important piece is the bids coming back in, but we'll have solid figures for annual town meeting. And on the 27th, we have the pre-bid meeting at the Locks Pond Culvert. And I've had about 3 or 4 inquiries of people, companies, contractors that will attend that meeting. I'm also been happy with both bids that local contractors as well as others that I don't know are requesting bids. So that's a real important piece as we head towards annual town meeting, where requests for funding of these 2 critical projects will be talked about, and questions can be asked there, or people can call in ahead of time if they have questions on the projects. I'd be
And they-
happy to answer them.
So the bid rules are that we take the lowest bid from a qualified contractor. Is that
It's
how it?
the lowest responsible bid. So
Okay.
it in every way has to comply with the requirements in the bid.
Okay.
And you can also do, I've always done background checks on, especially on bigger projects, to
Mhm.
make sure, to talk to others that they have worked for and make sure there's not a history there of cutting corners and not living up to timetables and things like that. So when you do come across a bid that's too good to be true, sometimes it's really too good to be true and the person has made a huge error. I once had I think it was a roofing project where the bid came in 1/3 of some of the others, and the bidder had completely misunderstood the scope of the work. So the bids have to be well vetted, and in both cases, I'll be able to work with the engineer on the Locks Pond Culvert Bridge replacement, as well as the architect on the roof. So there'll be a lot of support going into the evaluation of the bidders. And they'll be coming from a place of familiarity with some of the firms. So, so I'm very hopeful that these major projects will be moving forward.
Good.
And
All right.
that's it for today, other than in preparation of annual town meeting. We've got, there's always, well, last year I had, I got a list through the MLP of people that don't have internet service. There were about 30 people last year. I have that list from last year. And if any others know of someone that needs a packet mailed to them, I'm trying to get the packets out by, hopefully by Friday or before to those folks so that they can get the things that are on our website. But it's only for people who don't have internet. We will have a number of documents available at the annual town meeting, unlike last year. There will be piles on tables. We weren't allowed to do that last year, so things are changing dramatically. And the other wonderful thing about annual town meeting is we might even have food. It's not certain yet, but if people, if the Friends of the Library pull through, there will be food at town meeting. And I don't,
Becky, going back to that list, is it pulled by address? The people that don't have internet, is it pulled by address?
we had to do a special request to Crocker to get the list.
Okay. Right.
Yeah, we don't have it ourselves.
Okay. I didn't know if they had pulled it by list or by name. So.
Actually, Gail did a lot of work cross-referencing. I think she got a volunteer. I don't know if it was Jim Hemingway, but somebody volunteered to cross-check the list. It wasn't easily done.
Okay.
That's why I made sure to keep the list.
All right, sorry to interrupt you. Go ahead.
So those are my updates for tonight.
Okay.
I have 2 quick things.
Okay.
One, I just want to say that the newsletter will be, fingers crossed, it'll be, arriving in mailboxes early next week. So that will be perfect. And that the annual town report is ready. I'm going to go pick it up within the next couple of days. So.
Thank you, Linda.
Yeah, thank you.
Great.
And again, those will be available at town meeting, unlike last year.
We'll have some of last year's available too.
Some light reading. Okay, we have minutes before us. Would we like to do some minutes? Okay.
So I'll move that we approve the minutes from the April 27th meeting, which can I say that was the most incredibly well-written set of minutes from a very complicated meeting. I just was very, very, very impressed. And I think I actually found a little mistake, which I don't think I've ever done. This is, I wrote it down here. I think it's on page 7, the last paragraph, the last line.
Okay.
It says page 7. This is an 11-page minutes, I believe, or something. 12. Single spaced. I'm just saying. I don't have the copy in front of me, but it should say under the town administrator's salary that I believe that should say not $64,000, but $70,000. That was,
yeah. We made that. I sent out a later version, and that correction was made because Becky found that error. Yeah.
Okay.
So your later version that I sent yesterday has that correction.
Okay.
Yes.
I read the wrong one first. Perfect.
So I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
And I'll second.
Okay.
You're both
All in favor?
Farrell, aye.
Stein, aye.
Makepeace O'Neill, aye. Do I hear a motion for the May 6th minutes?
You don't have them.
Oh,
They're somewhere, but they're not with me.
Okay. Sorry about that.
Yeah, Becky has them. So when, yeah, they'll get to you.
Okay, we'll do those at the next meeting then.
Yeah, and there'll be more.
Yeah. Are there any other things that we need to do tonight, Becky or Linda, have on that we've missed? Rita and April, anything that we've missed? Okay. All right. Well, with that, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
I'll second.
Okay. All right. All in favor?
Farrell, aye.
Stein, aye.
Makepeace O'Neill, aye. Thank you, everybody, for coming.
Great, thanks. Good
Thank
night.
you. Good night,
Have a good
everybody.
evening.
Yes.